The Chiefs come out of the huddle, and they're like, oh, shit, too high, boys. Can't do it. And it's like a swing pass. You're like, do you think the Bills just every week, it's a single high for them? Like, what do you think? Every defensive coordinator in the league's like, he won't do it. Like, they do it anyway. Yeah. They do it anyway. They sit there and they say, we have Josh Allen. We have Joe Burrow. We are going to go down the field. We're going to challenge you. The Chiefs see too high, and it's like, all right, boys, swing out the P Ryan. Like, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous way to play football. Add some speed, add a left tackle, keep your all-star Pro Bowl right guard, and profit.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
It's that football show here on KC Sports Network. I'm Tucker Franklin, hanging out as always with Matt Verderame. Thank you to our sponsors, Holiday Bourbon and Holiday Distillery, Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. You guys know the drill. Thank you to Holiday, wonderful people out there. Look, not a fun episode to have here after the Chiefs get blown out in the Super Bowl. You guys have probably heard it from every which way. We appreciate you if you are still listening to this podcast after the Chiefs do get blown out in the Super Bowl. We do respect that, still listening to the content that we put out after it. I could understand just kind of turtling and not wanting to see anything because, look, myself, I've not really wanted to get on social media at all after that. But, Matt, we got to catch up at the Super Bowl finally after two ships passing in the night. It seems like every time that you come to Kansas City or we get in the same vicinity, we finally got to meet up and we finally got to record a podcast together. How was your time in New Orleans and how are you doing?
It was good. It was better than the Chiefs' time. Yeah. It was good, and it's funny. Yes, I will double down on what you said. Everyone is here hanging out. Appreciate you. I know, like on my pod that I do on the side, it was funny. Like I got like all these notifications like right after the game. It was like 20 people have canceled their subscription.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah. I get it. I understand. I'll see you in August. I understand, but for all those who hang out, we'll promise we'll make it worth their while. We got the free agency stuff coming up, the draft. Mm-hmm. It's okay. This is like the worst week. If you get through this week, it'll be all right. Yeah, man. I mean, New Orleans was fun. I think I gained 37 pounds, but it was okay. It's fine. I had a lot of beignets and a lot of seafood, so it was good. But yeah, my week and certainly my Sunday was better than the Chiefs, who basically did the football equivalent of going out on the field, falling on their faces, and then just urinating all over themselves. That actually might have been more dignified than what they actually did. So yeah, it was not pretty. It was not a good football game.
I mean, we've broken down every which way on KC Sports Network already for the X's and O's side of it, and it's already Thursday, right? So you guys don't really need us to break it down very much further in terms of just like what went wrong, because look, if you watch the game, you can see what went wrong there.
I mean, I basically just gave my analysis. Like, I don't, like, at some point, there's a juncture you get to in a game that it goes so bad that there's not even a point in analyzing the game. It's like, look, they went full pee pants. Okay. Like, that's what happened. Here's my honest, like, forward thinking take of the game, because I think like this actually does matter. Mm-hmm. In a weird way, if they were going to lose, losing like that might be more beneficial than losing by like 3 points.
Yeah.
Because let's say they lost 27-24. Right? Like, good game, tight game, whatever, you lose on a field goal at the gun. Very disappointing, very disheartening, but like still the same result. But I think if you're Brett Veach or Andy Reid, you're the coaching staff, you walk away from it going, man, we were right there. Like, we did everything we possibly could. By getting absolutely annihilated off the face of the planet in front of 100 some odd million people.
Right.
I think it kind of acts like Super Bowl 55, where you walk out of that game going, okay, well, that was fucking humiliating. Like, we need to completely revamp certain parts of this team because we don't want to go through that again. Like, it's human nature to look at a situation where you've been embarrassed and you're going to say, okay, I'm not going to go through that again. So, to that point, if you had asked me when we were down I was going to say Radio Row. I'm sorry. And Media Row.
There you go.
Media Row. You know, the wokeness is actually for all. I'm saying that for the one comment we got, by the way. We were like, but like if you had told me that they were going to be super aggressive this offseason a week ago, I would have been like, I don't think they will be. I think they'll probably spend money on their own guys. It'll be kind of quiet. Now, I think they're going to be pretty aggressive this offseason. I mean, whether that's trading up in the draft, whether that's spending money in free agency, like I don't envision a world knowing the Chiefs the way I know them, knowing some of the people in the building the way I know them. I just don't imagine them being like, it's cool. We'll just have Kingsley left tackle next year. That's not going to happen.
I'm going to be curious to see how they do attack this situation because, as you mentioned, Matt, and it's not a good free agent class. Like that's also what's kind of hurting them there too. Is that there's not a very good free agent class in terms of tackles, I should say. They're really going to need some work on the just the offensive side of the ball. Nick Bolton, their leading play caller on the defensive side of the ball, is up for a contract extension. Trey Smith is up for a contract extension. Like they've got guys on their own team that need contract extensions. But like if you start to look at, I think I saw this tweet from, oh gosh, I can't remember. I think Spot Track might have tweeted this out of the guys that were under contract for the Chiefs on the offensive side of the ball and the skill position wise.
Yeah,
it gets dark pretty quick. And when you start to look at the talent that they have under contract, the wide receivers are Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, who is still dealing with the knee injury, Nico Remigio, and Sky Moore. So it's starting to look a little grim on that side. They're going to have to do some work. But Matt, overall, when I start to think about my feelings, I guess towards this game, I was really I was bummed out more than I thought I was going to be on Monday morning. I can remember after the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, I was kind of like over it at halftime. Like by halftime, you're like, all right, the weekend's coming on. I'll enjoy the weekend's performance. And like the Chiefs have already lost this game, right? You knew that they weren't coming back. And look, you kind of knew that too for this one, right? Like at halftime when DeAndre Hopkins dropped the ball, you're like, all right, this game's probably not going to happen.
I wrote my entire game story and my Travis Kelce feature during halftime.
Yeah.
I was done with my assignments by the start of the third quarter. And then just sat there and was playing like immaculate grid as Mahomes was just getting killed. And I was like, all right, well, this is lovely. And then spent half the fourth quarter talking to Nate Taylor waiting for the locker room to open. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't even see the throw to Worthy until after the game because I was down in the locker room. I was waiting. It was, look, here's though, like, so I'm going to try to lay this out the same way I've done already a few times this week. There are people out there who are going to sit there and tell you that the Chiefs don't have cap space.
Yep.
And I'm here to tell you that with respect to those people, they don't understand the NFL salary cap situation. Okay? So right now, as we sit here, the Chiefs do not have a ton of cap space. That's true. Okay? So overthecap.com, they're estimating that the salary cap is $272 million to actually $272.5. We're going to find out what the exact cap is. Usually we find out while I'm in Indy. So it's probably going to be like a week and a half now. Okay. But let's use that as a template. So they're estimating that Kansas City, as we sit here, has $113,000. That's not a lot of money.
It's not.
You're not getting a lot of good players. $113,000.
That's true.
All right. However, all right, and this is where it becomes important to understand how the cap works. They don't have to do what I'm about to say, or they could do part of it. But if they do this, in fact, this should be like the term that we use for this segment. If they do this, all right, if they restructure Patrick Mahomes' contract, they save $39 million.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is due 19.8 against the cap. I do not think they are going to release Travis Kelce. No. If they did, they would save 17.2. Here's what I think they could do with Travis Kelce. They could add a void year to this contract, and they could make it like $10 million this year, $9 million next year, okay, which would save them $9 million this year. Then there's Joe Thuney, who is due $26.97 million in the final year of his contract. I would suggest that they extend Joe Thuney and they bring that number down by about $15 million. So if they extend Tooney, they split the baby with Kelce's deal with a void year, and let's say they restructure $25 million of Mahomes' money. They now have $50 million in cap space and can do whatever the hell they want. So this idea that they just don't have cap space, yes, in this current moment, they don't have cap space.
Right.
They could go like that and have cap space, a ton of it. So don't get caught up in, oh God, they don't have the cap, they don't have the cap.
Right.
They have the cap space. The big question is going to be Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Justin Reed, Charles Omenihu, Sean Ward. Those 5 guys. Okay, you want to add Hollywood Brown in there? Cool, 6 guys. Who's coming back out of that group? That is the big question. And then that also answers some of the questions of where do they need to draft? Right? And hell, if you throw one other name in there, I should throw in, but I just forget he's on the team. He played for a quarter. DJ Humphries.
Right.
Okay, so you have those questions. What do you do? Who are you adding back to the roster? Who are you letting walk? What are you paying out the nose? I mean, to me, there's no bigger question than Nick Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though he won't cost as much as Trey Smith, I pretty much know what Trey Smith's getting. He's going to get 21, 22, somewhere in that range. And Nick Bolton, the gulf at inside linebacker is hilarious. So the third highest paid linebacker, inside linebacker, is Tremaine Edmonds of the Bears, 4 years, $72 million. The fourth highest paid is making $41 million.
Right.
You could argue if you're Nick Bolton that you deserve to be paid like Tremaine Edmonds. And you could also argue you should deserve to be paid like Patrick Queen, who's making $3 and $41.
Mm-hmm.
Where he ends up on that sliding scale probably determines whether he's back in Kansas City or he's elsewhere. Yeah. Right? So then you've got all these other guys to make decisions on. So that's where this offseason starts. That's where this begins.
100%. I do think that's where a lot of people are going to have their attention is with the Nick Bolton contract negotiations to see where it goes. I know Nick Bolton after the game did say that he wanted to be in Kansas City, and obviously, and we'll see how that all shakes out. I was just doing some quick napkin math here, Matt, because I was curious. So it's man, if Chiefs lose a Super Bowl, they really lose a Super Bowl, man. They leave no doubts in the minds of people.
They make sure you are aware that they lost.
Their point differential is staggering. In the games they've lost, it's been minus 65 point differential. The 3 Super Bowls they've lost, and they've only won they won the last 2 by 3 points.
They 17 in 3 games. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, their overall Super Bowl point differential is in the minus a big time. I think that's kind of funny when you just talk about this team in general.
Really, they've played absolute shit in these Super Bowls.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has not played good in any Super Bowl.
They've been awful in these games. I was thinking about it on the flight back from New Orleans when I had 2 hours to cool my heels in the tarmac. And I was sitting there and I was honest to God, that is the one criticism I think is fair coming out of this game, in terms of the big picture. Look, things happen. You can lose a game. They got killed. Fine. Andy Reid, you ever just come into a Super Bowl with a game plan that works? Ever? They have had 5 Super Bowls where they have been atrocious offensively out of the gate in all 5. I just can't anything. Mahomes has been terrible. Reid's been terrible. The only reason they've won 3 Super Bowls is their defense has just single-handedly kept them in it for 3 Super Bowls to start.
Yeah.
Their offense has been rancid in every single one of these Super Bowls to start. I believe, if I'm doing this off the top of my head correctly, they had 10 points in Super Bowl 54 at halftime. In Super Bowl 55, I think they had 6, I think. Super Bowl 57, they had 14, but Nick Bolton scored 7 of those.
Correct.
Super Bowl 58, they had 3 points, and they had 0 in this game. They just can't score a point the first 30 minutes of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an Andy thing. Look,
100%.
man, you've got 2 weeks to figure out how to play football. And it's kind of a pants filming every single time you start a Super Bowl offensively. I know people don't want to hear this right now because it's fresh. The defense played well enough to win that game.
Absolutely.
The defense did not give up a pick six, which is the worst throw I've ever seen Mahomes make. The second he cocked his arm from my spot in the Superdome, I'm like, oh, this is going back for six. Like, the throw to Bond, I understand he was hit as he threw it. It was still a terrible decision.
Yeah.
Then he gets strip sacked and fumbled, and that's not on him. They didn't block anybody. But that's
smoked in the head on that play, too.
Yeah. Listen, if that was the other way around, we would have had like a Zapruder film from every player count on earth. Okay? All those people, by the way, real fucking quiet.
Yeah.
This week. They gave up 17 points on offense. The defense basically gave up 23 points, forced a turnover. Like, the defense wasn't awesome, but like they were good enough to win that game. It didn't matter. But that actually leads to another point here. My entire offseason, if I'm Brett Veach, is this offense.
Has to be.
That's all it is. Look, man, I know they could lose Bolton and Reed and Wharton. So I get all that. Or Menahoe. First of all, they're probably not going to lose all four of those guys. Like, they'll probably bring back at least a couple of them. That defense is not in need of some, like, drastic change. Like, they're fine. That defense is going to be fine. They are in dire need of an offense that is overhauled from the mentality up.
Yeah.
Just completely overhauled. And, I brought up the great cap space earlier. Here's one scenario for you. They re-signed Trey Smith because I think they better. If they don't, you're looking at what? Kingsley Suamataia and Juwan Taylor next to each other?
Yeah.
Like, Mahomes might pick it out front of St. Joe's. Okay? So, I would pay Trey Smith. I do not care if it's a slight overpay. And I'll tell you right now, I'll be this guy. And I'm never this guy, but I'll be this guy. They get to the first day of free agency and T. Higgins is available. I call up T. Higgins, big, hey, T, how you feeling about 4 and 125? Because to me, you're not paying any receiver anything. Rice is on a rookie deal. Worthy's on a rookie deal. All the rest of these guys aren't getting paid.
Yeah.
Kelce at most is getting paid for one more year. You're not paying any of the running backs anything. The only group you're paying on offense is Kelce for one more year at most. Obviously Mahomes, and then in this case, your interior offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the people out there who they can't afford, yes, they can. Yes, they can. They absolutely could afford them. And then if you're wondering about the following year, you cut Juwan Taylor as fast as humanly possible and save $20 million for that year. Okay. And then you cut Mike Gannon and save another $9 million. And there's T's salary for 2026. And by 2027, the cap has gone up $50 million. And you're not even worried about it. Like, first of all, if I'm Brett Veach, I'm sitting there just thinking to myself, man, you know what? All right, let's bring back DJ Humphries. Let's draft the left tackle in the first round. You bring back Trey Smith. If we could sign T. Higgins or even like Chris Godwin, okay? Like, with Worthy and Rice, we're going to score a lot of points. We're going to score a whole lot of points. And if it's Higgins, you also get the added benefit of Cincinnati is absolutely devastated. So I'm not sitting here projecting that they're going to do that. I'm just saying, like, there is a world where they could go scorched earth and try to do that if they wanted to make the attempt.
And here's the thing, too, that I think that plays into this is I kind of talked about how I was a little bit more bummed out on Monday than I kind of anticipated I was going to, which kind of lends into the credence of, I can't imagine how this team felt, obviously, afterwards. I think the reason that I was so bummed out was because, again, this is another opportunity that Patrick Mahomes had for history and to get himself up over Tom Brady that he didn't quite capture all the way. Right, in the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, you knew going into that Tampa Bay Super Bowl, this is probably the last time Patrick Mahomes is going to play Tom Brady face-to-face, head-to-head. If he doesn't win this one, he's never going to have a chance to beat Tom Brady in the playoffs again. You knew that. Going into this game, I knew that Patrick Mahomes wasn't going to have another chance. Wasn't likely going to have another chance to three-peat again. That opportunity doesn't just roll around for every player. So I think when it comes to this and why I was bummed out, it was another opportunity that Patrick Mahomes had himself to fully cement himself as the greatest player of all time. Now, look, I think he will get there, right? When we're at the stage right now with the Tom Brady and the Patrick Mahomes conversation that Brady was at, where it was he'll never be greater than Montana. Now that everyone kind of generally accepts that he's better than Joe Montana.
Yeah,
I think that we're there right now. And Patrick Mahomes, I don't think Tom Brady went to his 5th Super Bowl until he was like 37 or 34, 37, something like that, deep into his 30s.
Yes.
37. Wow, that's a lot later than I thought it was going to be, but that's still insane. Patrick Mahomes, not even 30 yet, and he's been to 5 Super Bowls. Like I think that there will be time for Patrick Mahomes to pass that GOAT threshold with Tom Brady. I was just bummed out that we couldn't get that fully cemented in Tom Brady's face right as he's calling the game. That would have been pretty sweet. And I think that is a motivating factor too that you mentioned to the revampness, I guess you could say. I think I just made that word up, to this offense, because I do think that I think a lot of the philosophy has to be offseason. Your offseason, I should say, is free agency. You're going offense. Draft, you're going defense. And we've seen kind of use that model already, but I think that like it's got to be even more than that too. And like, look, if they want to use that first round pick to trade for a left tackle that's under contract somewhere, I think I'd be okay with that. If they didn't want to use that left tackle, that first round pick on left tackle, because look, the tackle market outside of the top guys, not phenomenal. Like, it's not a great tackle class in terms of the draft this year. I'm going to be curious to see how they do approach it. There might be a couple of guys in the mid rounds there, or the late day 1, early day 2 little range there that they might be able to work. But here's the thing, Matt, they've done that twice and they haven't been able to develop them. And that's where there starts to be a point where we got to talk about, and Matty Lane talked about this on the KC Laboratory, the coaching on that side of the development on that side of the ball, because we've now seen them draft a couple of guys that they anticipated to be tackles start to look like they're going to be guards and start to look like they're going to play other positions or not play at all. Darian Kennard is one of those guys that they drafted in that in excellent 2022 class.
Man, just won a Super Bowl.
He did just win a Super Bowl. He's the only player to three-peat in the history of the NFL, Darian Kennard. Shout out to him. But he didn't really work out either. So you're looking at Darian Kennard, you're looking at Wanya Moore, you're looking at Kingsley Suamataia.
You are, yeah.
And I think that those 3 guys not being able to develop those guys is a potential red flag for me, Matt.
It's fair. It's fair. Andy Heck has gotten a guy who's making $80 million at right tackle. You got Kingsley Suamataia. He has gotten Creed Humphrey and Trey Schmidt dropped into his lap, and Wanya Morris, and he's not been great. Now, you want to give him credit, I guess, for developing Humphrey and Smith. Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
Well,
but I mean, yeah, it's fair. It's fair. They've not been able to figure out that situation. I also think it's time for this team to stop dicking around and actually go draft tackle. Enough of this. Well, he's 100th overall, but he's got traits. That's nice. Go actually draft somebody who matters. I think it's funny now you look back. The Orlando Brown thing was a bigger miss than I think people want to admit it was. And that's not on the Chiefs, to be fair. The Chiefs, I reported extensively on that. The Chiefs offered him a lot more money than he ended up signing for in Cincinnati.
Yes.
Orlando Brown is a great guy. I've interviewed him many times. We've gotten to know him a little bit over the years. He's a great dude. Every time I cover the Bengals, I go out there, I chat with him in the locker room. He's a really, you couldn't meet a nicer guy. I think Orlando Brown, if you remember that whole situation, he had a very, very inexperienced agent. He got some bad advice.
Yep.
He was basically told, don't sign this. You're going to make a lot more than that. No. I actually had people from the Chiefs reach out to me after he signed the Bengals and said, I feel really bad for him. That sucks. So I think that was a real miss, because if they could have just signed him, say whatever you want about Orlando Brown Jr., he is Willie Roaf compared to this situation they've been trotting out over the last few years. Okay. They need to figure this out. To me, if there's anything that they have to figure out, top line, it's got to be this offensive line, period.
Right.
And that's why I understand the Trey Smith argument, right? I think so much money. So you're going to tell me you're going into next year with Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Jawan Taylor, and then no Trey Smith. And you're going to do what? Put Hunter Norzad in there?
Mm.
That's what you're going to do? You're going to put in Kingsley Suamataia? And I always love when people say that, with the utmost confidence. Well, just have Kingsley slide in there.
Yeah.
Did you watch Kingsley Suamataia this year? You don't know that he can play. He might suck.
Yeah.
And maybe he turns out to be good, but you don't know that. And if he's not good, it's a disaster. There's no safety net for that. I know Trey Smith can play at an all-pro level. I know that. I don't have to guess and wonder. And the guy's 25 years old. Yeah, I'd pay him. I would pay him top dollar. Like, to me, you've got to figure out the offensive line above everything else and then work from there.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep going to the Super Bowl and every year the storyline's the same thing. Well, geez, if they can block anybody, they can. I mean, I literally wrote my entire SI story on Friday was, if they can block, they will win. That was the entire 1,000-word story. Was the Eagles are going to win this game if they can get home with 4. That is the only way I think Philadelphia can win this game. I do not think Philly's going to kill them offensively. They didn't. I don't think Barkley's going to kill him. He didn't. Like, the way the Eagles win this game is they annihilate this team with a 4-man pass rush. And that's exactly what happened. And we talk about this every time they're in the Super Bowl. Every time. Geez, if they can hold up against Nick Bosa, if they can hold up against Hassan Reddick, if they can hold up against Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett, and shocker, they never can. Like, even in the games they've won, they only held up one time on the edge.
Yeah.
They're a disaster every Super Bowl with this. So how about going out and, like, actually fixing it? And if we want to talk about free agents, here are the guys that are out there. Ronnie Stanley, which, listen, Ronnie Stanley's terrific. It would scare the hell out of me to pay him. He's 31 years old and he's hurt constantly.
Yes.
Alart Jackson from the Rams and Cam Robinson. Those are the 3 guys.
Yeah.
Okay? And I would argue that Stanley's good. Stanley, talent-wise, is the best guy. But he's 31, and he's been hurt for the last 5 years. Alart Jackson is probably the best fit in the sense of his age and his talent level. Like, he's what I would classify as a good left tackle. He's not great, but he's good. And then Cam Robinson, who I look at and say, I think he's an adequate left tackle. Like, I don't love the guy, and you're probably going to overpay for him, but, like, he's also not going to get you murdered every game. So that's why I look at this situation. Like, why don't you just pay DJ Humphries on a 1-year deal and then go draft a guy in the first round?
Yeah.
Just go do that. You're not locked into some massive amount of money, and you then have a tackle in the first round to develop, and if the guy beats Humphries out, great.
Right.
But then you also have the money to sign Trey Smith, and you have additional money to go out and spend. Like, and for people who don't realize, like, so let's say you gave him 5 years, $100 million. Okay, Robert Hunt got that contract a year ago with the Panthers. His first year cap hit was $6 million. So, like, they could sign Trey Smith and then still sign other guys. If I'm the Chiefs, I am fixing that offensive line at all costs, and then my next move is to go add another receiver to this team. I want it to be to the point where Mahomes drops back, like, everybody's a viable option, and they all can beat man coverage.
Yeah.
I am sick and tired of watching them trot out guys who run like me. Go get somebody who can make a play in space. Now, you got Worthy. You've got Rice for whenever he comes back. But to me, like, I don't want the third guy to be Justin Watson. Like, go get somebody who can play football.
It's going to be interesting. Some of those tackle names that you did mention, Kelvin Banks from Texas, he could be. Again, we're getting into some situations where I don't know if he'll be there. I'm on Mimbo from Missouri. At least I'm a North kid, so, like, he's a Kansas City kid. He could be there as well. Josh Connerly from Oregon as well. Like, those are a couple of guys that, like, if you are looking for names to watch, if you're sick in the head like we are when it comes to football and you're not going to turn your switch off and you're listening to this podcast 28 minutes into it, those are names. So you can kind of keep your eye on as we kind of get here closer. But yeah, there is going to need to be, I think there needs to be a philosophical change on the offensive side of the ball. And we saw it. Like, I know you didn't see the last Worthy touchdown. That was the most FU throw of all time from Patrick Mahomes. Like, I saw that and I was like, where the hell has that been? Patrick Mahomes can still do that. Why are we neutering him? Why are we making him Alex Smith at this point? Like, let's forget all of this check down bullshit. I don't want to see it anymore. Let him be Patrick Mahomes. Don't make him Alex Smith.
Yeah, I think I said the word neutered on radio with Alex and Cody. And I think there's a little bit of concern. But we're headed with that. Yeah. I was like, they're neutering. And I was like, I hope they're all listening. I remember one time I was on the radio in Kansas City and somebody from the organization texted me while I was on the radio. And they were like, listen, like, give context to this. And I was like, looking down at my phone, I'm like, fuck out of here. Like, I'm on, yeah. But in any event, so they're listening. They're out there. Look, that's why I said earlier, and we didn't get into it, but I mean, well, until you just talked about it, but like, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like the mentality.
Yeah.
Their mentality is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Their mentality is like, hey, look, if we just throw the ball 4 yards a clip and complete every single one of them, we'll score a touchdown on every drive. And, yeah, guess what? That's not how the sport works. It's ridiculous. So I actually wrote a piece went out on Friday. What the hell day is it? Thursday morning. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
So I wrote about the fact that like they never push the ball down the field, and that this has been a problem now for 4 years running. And I went and I looked this up for the piece. So I looked up the intended air yards per pass attempt, which another way to put that is ADOT, right? The average depth of target. You know, if I gave you a guess, do you know where Mahomes ranks
For this year.
for this year?
Oh, he would be like bottom 5, I think.
He's 41st out of 43 qualifying quarterbacks. He's 41st. Okay, the only guys who throw the ball shorter than him are Gardner Minshew and Tua.
What have they done?
It's fucking ridiculous. It is. They treat Mahomes like he's Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the way they treat the guy. Like, so he's averaging 6.2 intended air yards per pass attempt. And then you look at like other guys around the league. Okay. Like, I'll just try to give like a Aiden O'Connell's at 7.9.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Anthony Richardson is hilarious at 12.2. But that's the end of that. Like, no one else is above 9.3. Anthony Richardson's like, deep ball. Yeah. But it's a joke. It's a joke. Josh Allen, 7.9. Lamar Jackson, 8.6. Herbert, 8.6. Jordan Love, 8.7. Trevor Lawrence, 9.3. Jalen Hurts, 7.8. Dak, 7.9. Caleb Williams, 7.9. And then there's Mahomes, 6.2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting. The way they play football offensively is absolutely unequivocally disgusting. And by the way, just to really hammer that point home, in 2023, he was 30th out of 32 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The only guys you were ahead of, here's one that I'll kill you, though. 32nd on that list is Joe Burrow. 31st, Jake Browning. So the Bengals just coming in hot. But other than quarterbacks who played in Cincinnati in 2023, yeah, Mahomes was dead last. He was behind Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett. And I get it. They don't have the receivers, and their left tackle stinks. But that's the whole point. That's what we've been talking. Then fix it.
Yeah.
Then fix the left tackle. And the receivers you have fixed to some degree here with Rice and with Worthy, to be fair. But, like, to your point, then where the hell was that with Worthy all season long?
Uh-huh.
Throw it. I mean, they treat him like they're horrified. The Chiefs are the only team in the league I've ever seen with a great quarterback. They're horrified to throw the football. Like, oh, God. Well, what if we throw an incompletion on 2nd and 10? I remember the Chiefs of 5 years ago, and they would have 3rd and 15, and I'd be like, please, give us a real challenge.
Yeah.
You know? Like, nothing felt out of question with the Chiefs. You'd be like, 3rd and 27, probably pick this up. Like, it felt like a coin flip. 3rd and 8 for this team now, you're like, oh, my God, might as well just quick kick it. Like, I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke the way this team plays offense. And that starts with fixing the tackle. And it also, to me, I know there's people probably out there who are like, you're an asshole. I would, honest to God, I would call up T. Higgins and Chris Godwin. I really would. I mean, what do you want? My entire goal this offseason is to build an offense that can score top 3 in the league. And then just tell Spags, hey, look, man, you get 4 stops a game, we win.
Right.
I mean, I feel like their defense is more capable of doing that. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, we'll see. we'll see how it goes with this offseason. There's plenty to talk about. Look, they make sure NFL makes sure we don't get much downtime off because look, Matt and I will be at the combine in like 2 weeks, so that'll be great.
2 weeks. I'll be there in like 9 days.
I guess you're right.
The NFL doesn't care about my well-being.
Yeah, I didn't know.
He's there at 5:47, like face down in a corner.
Yeah,
Is he dead?
okay. I didn't realize it was that close. Holy cow!
I booked the damn hotel. I don't know, like 2 days ago. Oh yeah, we're
yeah. We got the Airbnb, so we're in it. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we'll talk about some other stuff going around on the NFL and much more. We'll talk to you after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
So obviously, Matt, one of the big things around the Chiefs and the kind of like this offense is going to be Travis Kelce's retirement decision and whether he decides to retire or come back. If he does choose to come back, I think you're going to want to use him like Antonio Gates late in the career. You're not going to want to build an offense around him like they have the past couple of years. And I don't think that was the plan this year, right? We saw the Rashee Rice stuff. I think the offense was supposed to be around Rashee Rice this year, but that didn't work. He got hurt. Unfortunate. Of all the things that Patrick Mahomes did, that might have been the worst one, actually. Just nuking his leg.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
I made a tweet. I don't know if people understand. People probably didn't understand this. But yeah, that's okay. I made a tweet with that video and I said this butterfly effect caused me. Patrick Mahomes jamming his helmet into Rashee Rice's knee caused me to get Chinese takeout for lunch. I want you to stay with me, Matt, because like this is the butterfly effect that happened here. Okay. Rashee Rice gets hurt. They have to trade for DeAndre Hopkins, right? Because they need a wide receiver. DeAndre Hopkins, I then start to care about DeAndre Hopkins' career. They obviously lose that game. The false report goes around that DeAndre Hopkins is retiring, and I have to pay attention to that. And obviously, Adam Schefter, with wherever the one is in his Twitter handle, insane masterclass by that troll. By the way, he got a lot of people on that one. Then
a lot of people.
DeAndre Hopkins has to tweet out and be like, "Hey, I'm not done yet. I got one more in me," like the Vince Young quote. And then I quote tweet it and I say, "Me to the workers at the Chinese buffet when I'm going up for my fourth plate." So then I was like, "Man, Chinese takeout sounds really good for lunch today." So therefore, Rashee Rice getting his knee blown out caused me to have Chinese takeout for lunch the other day. Crazy butterfly effect.
Well, I mean, in the end, all things work out.
I think so. I do think so. And we'll see what happens if it works out with Travis Kelce and his retirement decision. But I'm sure you saw the clip of him on his podcast.
Yes.
That to me, this is me speculating. I don't know anything. Don't have any inside information. That didn't sound like a guy who's coming back next year.
I'm just going to be really frank because I think that's what the people want.
Oh, yeah.
What they deserve. His performance in the Super Bowl was abhorrent. Like,
phenomenal word, by the way.
Thank you. It was embarrassing for a player of his caliber.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not going to sit here and question the guy's effort in the sense that he has never been a problem effort-wise. And you know how much the guy wants to win, which makes me wonder even more, like, is he just that physically shot? I mean, look, it's not hard to find the clips on Twitter going around. And I made a mention of someone in the press box during the game. Like, is he all right? He can't even move. Like, guys are beating him on what should be blocks in a way that, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It looked like me trying to block someone. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the max effort you can give, you probably should retire. Because that is not NFL caliber effort. And I'm not saying that he wasn't trying. I'm saying, like, was he hurt? I'm saying, like, is that physically all that he can give at this point by the time the season's coming to an end? like, I'm not doubting whether or not the guy was out there doing the best he could. My point is, if that's the best he can do,
100%.
that it's over. And, like, he needs to have some dignity and just walk away. I mean, if that's the best he can do, it's curtains. On the flip side, if he comes back, the Chiefs need to make it abundantly clear to him, like, you're the third or fourth passing option in this offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You're not Xavier Worthy. You're not Rashee Rice. Like, if they bring in a third guy like I like him to do, like, you're behind those guys. And I'll tell you right now, I would have Noah Gray snap him next year.
Yeah.
Not as, like, some punishment, but, like, they need to get Noah Gray into the starting role. They need to split time. Like, he needs to see more of the field. And I think Sam McDowell wrote, it was a very good story in the Kansas City Star about how, like, Kelce will never come off the field during practice. Well, guess what? Travis Kelce's got to come off the field during practice.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't care if he likes it. Like, well, he wants to get all these reps. Great. Noah Gray's getting half of them. Noah Gray's getting half your reps, and he's getting half the snaps offensively. Like, that's partially because at this point, Kelce just can't physically do it, and that's also partially because if he's going to come back and play, then they might as well save every bullet in the chamber he's got until January.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, look, if he retires, it's one of the greatest careers of all time. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, they'll probably build a statue to him outside Arrowhead.
Yeah,
like
100%.
The guy is a Mount Rushmore Chiefs player. Okay, like, there's no disrespect here. He's one of my favorite players to ever watch. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know him just a touch through, like, interviews and stuff like that and conversations. Great guy. Like, if he walks away as a 3-time champion, an all-time player, in my opinion, the best tight end I've ever seen in my life. Like, the guy, all things are true, but you got to be honest about where he is right now. And the reality is, if he comes back, he is nowhere near the player he was even 2 years ago. And that's okay. That's time. But, like, the Chiefs have to be honest about that. They cannot go into this season being like, hey, he's still going to be a big part of the offense. No, he cannot be. He cannot be at this point. That's just the reality of it.
I think what is glaring to me when you look at maybe the last few games with Travis Kelce here, he had that, like, little turn back the clock run against run after the catch against the Texans, right, in the divisional round. You're like, whoa.
I wrote about it.
Holy cow. But even against the Bills, and in this game specifically, there were some things where him and Patrick were just off on a couple of things. So, like, their timing was just off. Like, where Patrick thought he was going to be and where Kelce actually was off. And I wonder if that's a physical thing. I think Travis's brain is still there, right? But I don't know if his body can get there to where he wants him to be, right? To where Mahomes expects him to be in those times. And I think you could see him get a little bit frustrated with that. There was a couple of, I think the third down play, specifically early on in the game, where Mahomes throws the ball and he's not quite in the right spot for where Mahomes throws it to. I think Kelce knew that where he was supposed to be. He just physically couldn't get there in time. And I think that that's the thing too, is you can see him start to get frustrated that, like, he can't physically do the things that he used to do or really needs to do to be on the same page with Patrick Mahomes. And I can tell that that's where, like, you can just tell. And look, this is just me speculating, right? Like, from watching the broadcast angle, you can tell that kind of eats at him.
Yeah. It was obvious being at the Superdome on Sunday night. Like, you can't move.
No.
I mean, he ran into Kareem Hunt trying to get across the formation to block a guy because he was so late coming across. He slammed into Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And part of that was he was about 8 seconds late out of his stance. But part of that is, like, physically, he can't move. And I got to tell you, that was something that, being at the game against Philadelphia's defensive speed, it was jarring in that game. Watching Juju try to get open and DeAndre Hopkins trying to run. And, like, they can't move, man. Like, they are in cement offensively. The running backs, all of them.
Right.
Like, nobody, even Pacheco, even him. Like, they can't move. None of them have any speed. They can't create. They can't make. I mean, the only guy who could do anything was Worthy.
Right.
Like, they are, to me, they need more speed, man. In the backfield, Worthy obviously gives you that speed. Rice has adequate speed, but he gives you other stuff. So like that's fine. He's a quick twitch guy. To me, like everybody's like, well, bring Hollywood Brown back. Why? Like, what did Hollywood Brown do that you're like, they got to bring this guy back?
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to kill it if they bring him back, but can we stop pretending like he had some unbelievable like renaissance and came back? The guy played in 5 games for the Chiefs this season. And in 5 games, he caught 14 passes for 141 yards. Like, that's the guy that everybody's like, oh, God, they got to bring him back. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, why? It's nothing against Hollywood Brown. It honestly isn't. It's not a personal thing. But, like, that's the problem I have with some people where it's just mentality of, like, well, if they just run it back, instead of spending $7 million on Hollywood Brown, go spend $22 million on Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Go get a guy who you're like, that guy makes a damn difference every time he's out on the field. You know, I think if you're the Chiefs, you need more speed. You need more talent on offense. Like, you need to upgrade the offense in explosiveness and flat out just talent level. And you're not going to do that by just being like, well, you know, we make Suamataia the right guard and we bring back Hollywood. It's like, great, you want to watch the offense get worse? Because that's a really good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do it. That's how the offense is going to get worse. Now, it'll get better when Rice comes back, like just getting him back. But I got to tell you, they weren't exactly a ball of fire when he was there the first 3 weeks of the season either. It wasn't like they were running up and down the field on teams. Like, they need to change their offense up. They need to change it. And changing it is not bringing in Suamataia at guard and then running back Hollywood Brown, who's averaging 30 yards a game. But it's not doing it.
They got to get younger, too, on that offensive side of the ball. I mean, their leading rusher was Kareem Hunt. Their leading receiver was Travis Kelce. I mean, they're just old. I mean, you can't.
Those guys run an average of 6 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, they're too old on that side of the ball. I don't want to be ageist, right? But, like, you got to get some youth on that side of the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how they do.
I'll be that guy. Like, I'll be ageist. Look, he's old. Just say it. Like, it's, you know, we have to, like, do this whole damn, like, we're not talking about hiring somebody, right? Like, I'm not breaking federal law. They're old. They're old as hell. Like, Kelce's 35 years old and he looks every bit of it. Okay? Yeah. You and I were talking before the show. I'm 36. I got 3 bulging discs right now on my back. All right? Like, I'm old. I can't move the way I could move when I was 26. And I'm not a pro athlete, but I actually played pickleball, the guy who played in the NHL for years. And guess what? He can't move like he could move 15 years ago. Like, I don't want to throw Ritus under the bus, but I think it's safe to say that. Like, yeah. Kareem Hunt can't move like he was like he did at 23 years old.
Right.
You know, DeAndre Hopkins can't move like he did when he was 25 years old. Juju can't move at all. Like, the idea that it's like, well, if they just bring everybody back, Mahomes might be 50th in ADOT next year if they bring it. Like, we actually might see the first offense that averages negative yardage in ADOT, where they're just throwing backwards every play. I mean, go get talent. This entire offseason should be, we are going to fix left tackle above all else. Bring back Trey Smith, fix your left tackle spot. There's a million different avenues to try to do it with. And then go out and get another weapon on this team. And then just draft the back. Like, I'm not signing a running back. Just go draft like that. But, like, I'll tell you right now. I was down in Mobile, okay? And I know that this guy, if they draft this guy, they have the smallest receiving corps in NFL history. My guy, Tez Johnson, the man runs like the wind, okay?
Yeah.
He was cooking the crap out of every single corner down in Mobile all week long. If those who don't know who he is, he's from Oregon. He's 156 pounds. And let me tell you something. Everybody I talked to down there was like, yeah, but if he gets hit, yeah, you've got to catch him first. Everybody said the same thing about Xavier Worthy. How's that looking right about now? Who would you rather have, him or Keon Coleman? Him or Xavier Legette? Who do you want? Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is built like a pipe cleaner. And he's out there putting up 1,000-yard years every year. This isn't 1990 where Steve Atwater and Ronnie Lott are coming across the middle. Okay?
Right.
You can't hit like that anymore. You go to prison. They need to add speed. Get guys in there who can run. That's how you back things up. The Chiefs have to start dictating terms when they're on offense.
Yeah.
Stop allowing everybody else. Because look, I know I'm off the rails, but like this is, you know what? I'm borderline on Theraflu, and we got to keep it moving. Look, the Bills every week, right? You watch the Bills, and Josh Allen, while certainly reined in this year compared to others, were supposed to throw the ball down the field, right? Like it's always a threat. Burrow has you, me, and 3 road cones as an offensive line, and threw for 5,000 yards going down the field every week. The Chiefs come out of the huddle and they're like, "Oh, shit, too high, boys. Can't do it." And it's like a swing pass. You're like, do you think the Bills just every week it's a single high for them? Like, what do you think? Every defensive coordinator in the league's like, he won't do it. Like, they do it anyway. Yeah. They do it anyway. They sit there and they say, we have Josh Allen. We have Joe Burrow. We are going to go down the field. We're going to challenge you. The Chiefs see too high, and it's like, all right, boys, swing out the P-Rhine. Like, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous way to play football. Add some speed, add a left tackle, keep your all-star Pro Bowl right guard, and profit. This idea is like if they just have Suamate and Hollywood Brown and like a 3rd-round pick. Like, we fixed it. No, you didn't. You're worse. Like, they need to add actual guys.
Perfect. I mean, I don't know. I can't add anything else, I don't think. I was going to let you cook right there. I was just going to see where that one ended up, and it was a good spot. I thought that was a good one. Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
Thank you. You know what? That's from the cold and the back and stuck on the tarmac in New Orleans for 2.5 hours. I've had enough.
That came from deep. That was pent up.
I'm just so sick and tired of having people tweet me like 100 times a day being like, you know what they should do? Like, they can't keep Trey Smith. They just, you know, in 2 years, they can have Wanye and Kingsley on the right side. And you're like, do you want him to die? Like, I mean, it's like, what are you talking about? People treat all these guys like they're just magically going to develop into John Hanna.
Right, yeah.
Like, no, they're not, bro. They're not. Like, yeah, I'm not saying Joe Montilla can't be a good player, but like, the idea that you can just slide him in there and it's like, oh, we're good now. Like, you don't know that. Like, you know, it's like if the guy played for any other team in the league, there's not a single Chiefs fan alive would be like, shit, he's probably going to develop. Right? Like, no one alive feels that way. Like, if he played for the Broncos, there wouldn't be a Chiefs fan who would want the Broncos to let, like, Quinn Miners get out of town so they can put Kingsley Suamataia in there. Right? It's every Chiefs fan celebrating.
Right.
What are you talking about? It's a ridiculous way to look at football.
Yeah. It is.
I'm done. End the show.
Okay. That's going to do it for that football show. I don't have anything else to add. Appreciate you guys listening. I'm sure we'll have an episode from the Combine in, 48 hours? Is that what it is?
We should do it live from the Taco Bell like 2 a.m.
Honestly?
On bowling in the tank.
That would be awesome. After we were at Prime 47 all night.
We're all bit.
Yeah. You know when they start to bring out the plastic cups, you're like, oh, buddy. We
put out of glasses. We went out of glasses, and 8 of them are shattered on the floor.
We were there yesterday. Last year. Oh, my God. Yeah, no. I was scouting out the spots where I wanted to go. No, we were there last year, and Nate just kept bringing me plastic cups of something. And I was there till 4 a.m. arguing about Patrick Mahomes' legacy against Patriots, people who cover the Patriots.
Yeah, well, that'll be a fun conversation this year.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get some follow-ups this year. That will be great. But we will have an episode from the Combine. I'm sure Matt and I will, where we'll get to chat about whatever is going on in the NFL and around. Well, I'm sure we'll hear things, too, by then, as free agency will get to be starting up here. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of That Football Show. For Holiday Distillery, Ben Holiday, Bottled and Bond Bourbon, thank you to those fine folks over there for letting us talk football to you. We will be back next week with another episode. So until then, be kind to one another. Like and subscribe. Leave a 5-star rating and review too. A lot of people, I don't know if you guys know this, a lot of people on the internet don't say nice things. So if you could say a nice thing with a 5-star rating and review, we really would appreciate that. What's up, Matt?
I gotta drop this in there, man. It just happened right as we're walking out of this show.
Okay.
This is a phenomenal tweet. The New York Jets official account, and I checked. It is the New York Jets official account. And when you have to check, you know it's good. Okay. We have the pictures just of a helmet.
Okay.
We have informed Aaron Rodgers that we will be moving in a different direction in Florida. Oh, they tweeted it out.
Why did they tweet that?
Unbelievable. Oh, because of this. Oh my! Hold on, I gotta read this.
All right, more podcast.
There's two different statements. Last week, we met with Aaron and shared that our intention was to move in a different direction at quarterback, said head coach Aaron Glenn and GM Darren Mogi in a statement released by the team. It was important to have this discussion now to provide clarity and enable each of us the proper time to plan for our respective futures. We want to thank him for the leadership, passion, and dedication he brought to the organization and wish him success moving forward. And then this is the best. This is the best one. Then we get Woody Johnson. Quote, I personally want to thank Aaron for his time at the New York Jets, said Chairman Woody Johnson in a statement released by the team. His arrival in 2023 was met with unbridled excitement, and I will forever be grateful that he chose to join us to continue his Hall of Fame career. From day one, he embodied all that it meant to be a New York Jet. We'll revisit that in a second. Embraced our fans and immersed himself in our city. That is what I will remember most when I look back at his time here. He will always be welcome, and I wish him only the best in whatever he chooses to do next. Okay, I'm sorry. The part that he embodied all that it meant to be a New York Jet, I would like to have Woody Johnson expound on that exactly. What was it, losing? Like, what did he do that embodied being in New York? Just being a complete and utter disappointment for 2 years? Like, what? That's amazing. I'm sorry. I know we're closing shop. I saw that come across. I can't believe they tweeted it. It's not like they're just like, listen, like, we're letting him go. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the update. Unbelievable.
Them just straight up lying too in their statement too. It's just like, we appreciate him. He was a great guy. Like, just
unbelievable.
Just lying. They're gonna take him $49 million in dead money. Am I seeing that correctly? That's
God. So if they obviously they're not trading him, that's a safe assumption.
Yeah.
So if we are to assume that they are cutting him currently, like pre-June 1,
right?
They will. Not only are they taking on $49 million in dead money, they're losing $25.5 million in cap space.
Awesome. Great.
So now they're over the cap. just a calamity of a situation. I'm being sure I'm right with this. I am like 9% sure I'm right.
Is Tyrod Taylor their backup?
Yeah. Dude, this is...
So Tyrod Taylor is now technically the quarterback of the New York Jets.
Is he even on the contract?
I don't know. They probably just signed him to a 1-year deal.
So if they post June 1 this mother, they eat $14 million each of the next 2 years. Dude, this is... I mean, well, I'm not going to kill him for moving on from him because I've been saying they should.
No, they probably should, yeah.
This statement just kills me. Like, he came over with unbridled enthusiasm. I'm sure he did. What did you paid him a fortune? Like, yeah, and then he embodied what it means to be a New York Jet. Okay, congratulations.
Unreal.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think they do have him under contract. Tyrod Taylor. It looks like it's Jordan Travis is the quarterback of the future for the New York Jets.
I'll tell you who the quarterback of the future is. How you feel about Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins?
Imagine, hear me out. Danny Dimes.
Just stepped across the fucking hallway. I guess so. Bro, I don't know what they're going to do. I can't wait to see it. Like, here comes Will Levis. Yeah.
Will Levis, that'd be incredible. I'm glad that hit before I hit the end button on the recording.
I saw that and I was like, oh my God, this is great. This again, it's not even that they're cutting him, it's that they felt compelled that they were like, we have to announce this silently on Twitter. As if like somebody had died.
Yeah.
Like, guys, it's okay. He was there for 2 years. He played 4 plays in one of the years. And in the other year was legitimately the biggest calamity I've ever seen in my life. And you guys are like, I hate to do it. It's gotta move forward. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't hate to do it.
Beg you to trade for a wide receiver and give up a bunch of capital for a wide receiver that didn't end up working.
Oh my God. Oh, it's just unbelievable. Yeah, I that's the next thing it's coming. In about an hour, you're getting a cryptic tweet from Devontae Adams of like a jet taking off. It's just gonna be, and then like an hour later, Schefter's gonna breathlessly break into NFL Live. Like, we gotta do it. He wants to.
Yeah, shocker. Devontae Adams wants that. It's like if you're Devontae Adams, you're like, how many teams will I have to be traded to for them to give up the quarterback that I want to play with? Because this happened with the Raiders too. It was like they're like, oh yeah, you want to play with Derek Carr? Nah, he's out of here.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a post June 1 hit, but if it was pre June 1, it'd be the funniest thing in the world.
I mean, yeah, that would be
Gotta
wild.
be post June 1.
It would have to be.
But the Jets, man. The Jets just kill me. It's great. All right, we can end now. That's amazing.
Yeah,
a little Easter egg for people who stuck around.
That's true. Like if people were like heard me close the podcast, they're like, all right, we're out of here. I'm just gonna go ahead and dip out. Nope.
They used to stick around, kids.
That's why it pays. Appreciate everyone sticking around to the very end, the actual very end of the podcast. Be a friend, tell a friend about the that football show here on KC Sports Network. That's going to actually do it for us here. For Matt Verderame, I'm Tucker Franklin. Thank you to Ben, Holiday Bottle and Bomb Bourbon, and Holiday Distillery. We'll talk to you guys next week.